dressed and ready for the day. Wearing your best perfume.
Yes, I am, Daddy.
Oh, that's right. This is the day of the picnic. Well, I hope there's a breeze off the water.
Miss Fern says there always is.
Well, she says it never rains on the 1st of June, too. Don't count on it.
Are you leaving today, Daddy?
Yes, I am. Plane goes in an hour. Back to Washington and the Pentagon and the climate that coddles eggs.
I like cuddled eggs.
Oh, you like everything. You're just too good to be true.
How long will you be gone?
Seal orders, darling. All I know is I'll be home as soon as I can. Now, what will you give me if I give you a basket of kisses?
I'll give you a basket of hugs.
I like your hugs.
I like your kisses, Daddykins. You're so big and strong.
I'll miss you. Now, the general doesn't have one pretty girl on his whole staff.
I wish you didn't have my daddy. I'll miss you every day.
Will you write to me?
Do you want me to?
Of course I want you to.
Then I'll write to you every day.
Every time I write to Mother, I'll put in a note.
Will you really?
Really and truly. And every time the general tells a good joke, I'll send you an official reply.
Oh, Daddy, that would be very often. You better send me the bad ones, too.
Oh, sweetheart, I will. I shall write daily with both my sweethearts. Unless somebody makes mistakes and starts shooting war, we all have to go underground.
Would you go underground if there was a war?
Yes, I would. And by gum, I'd go fast.
You said by gum because I was here.
That's right, I did.
Darling, take care.
I will. Every minute I'm away. Now, I'll wire you the minute we're on the ground. Take care of each other, you two.
We will. Oh, that's Monica and Emery. They wanted to say a last goodbye to you.
Oh, sure.
Is it all right?
It's perfect, darling. Braids and all.
Come in, Monica. Come in, Emery.
Just the abusive upstairs neighbors, darlings, have to be in on everything. No lives of their own, so they live other people's. I speak for my brother as well as myself because he never gets a chance to speak when I'm around. There, I've talked enough. Say something, Colonel.
Well, I guess it'll have to be goodbye because the taxi's here and I don't want to rush through traffic.
Well, don't worry about your two pretty girls, Ken. We'll keep an eye on them. And if one of them begins to look piqued, we'll send up smoke signals.
I'm counting on you, Emery, and on Monica.
Goodbye, Kenneth.
So, sweetheart, this is it. Goodbye, big eyes.
Goodbye, Daddy.
I promised myself I wouldn't come down.
Don't, sweet. It's just another empty month or two. Now, we'll get through them somehow.
I'll take those.
Goodbye.
Poor boy. He hates to go and you hate to let him go.
I'm not very self-sufficient.
Well, I am, and it's not so good. You're in love, both of you, you lucky characters. I wish I were. Oh, by the way, nobody has to bring Rhoda to the bus because I've made some cupcakes for Miss Fern and she's coming by to pick them up.
Oh, good.
But before she comes, I have two little presents for you, my darling.
Presents?
The first is from Emery. It's a pair of dark glasses with rhinestone decorations. He said to tell you they're intended to keep the sun out of those pretty brown eyes. I'll try them on you. Ah! Now, who is this glamorous Hollywood actress? Can it really be little Rhoda Penhart who lives with her delightful parents on the first floor of my apartment house?
I like them. Where's the case?
Here it is. And now for the second present, which is from me. This was given to me when I was 8 years old. It's a little young for me now. But it's still just right for an 8-year-old. However, it has a garnet set in it, and we'll have to change that for a turquoise, since turquoise is your birthstone. So I'll have it changed and cleaned, and then it's yours.
Could I have both stones, the garnet, too?
Rhoda, what a thing.
Oh, what of course she may. Why, certainly. How wonderful to meet such a natural little girl. She knows what she wants, and she asks for it. Not like those over-civilized little pets who have to go through analysis before they can choose an ice cream soda.
Aunt Monica, dear, sweet Aunt Monica.
I know I'm behind the times, but I thought children wore coveralls and play suits to picnics. Now you, my love, look like a princess in your navy and white polka dots. Tell me, aren't you afraid you'll get it dirty, or you'll fall and scuff your new shoes?
She won't soil the dress and she won't scuff the shoes. Rhoda never gets anything dirty. Though how she manages it, I don't know.
I don't like coveralls. They're not.
You mean coveralls aren't quite ladylike, don't you, darling? Oh, you old-fashioned little dear.
Am I to keep this now?
You're to keep it till I can find out where to get the stone changed.
Then I'll put it in my box.
Leroy. I guess I'm pretty early, man, but today is my day for doing the windows on this side.
Well, yes, you can begin in the bedrooms, Leroy.
Excuse me, man. Morning.
I like garnets, but I like turquoise better.
You sound like Fred Astaire tapping across the room. What have you got on your shoes?
Armored over my heels. And Mother had these iron pieces put on so that they last longer.
I'm afraid I can't take any credit. It was Rhoda's idea entirely.
I think they're very nice. They save money.
Oh, you penurious little sweetheart. But I'll tell you one thing, Rhoda. I think you worry too much when you're not the very best at everything. That's one reason why Emery and I thought you should have some presents today. You wanted that penmanship medal very much, didn't you?
It's the only gold medal Miss Fern gives. And it was really mine. Everyone knew that I was the best and I should have had it.
Excuse me, just getting some water.
I just don't see why Claude Dago got the medal.
Rhoda, these things happen to us all the time, and when we do, we simply accept them. And I've told you to forget about the whole thing. I'm sorry. I know you don't like people pawing over you.
It was mine. The medal was mine.
Rhoda, forget it. Put it out of your mind.
I won't. Idiot.
Leroy! Have you completely lost your senses? You've spilled water on Rhoda's shoes.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I guess I was just trying to hurry.
Oh, Leroy!
I'm sorry, Miss Breedlove.
Leroy, I own this apartment house. I implore you. I tried to give you the benefit of every doubt because you have a family. I've thought of you as emotionally immature, torn by irrational rages, a bit of a psychopathic side. But after this demonstration, I think my diagnosis was entirely too mild. You're definitely a schizophrenic with paranoid overtones. I've had quite enough of your discourtesy and surliness, and so have the tenants in this building. My brother Emery has wanted to discharge you. I've been on your side, though, with misgivings. I shall protect you no longer.
He didn't mean it, Monica. It was an accident. I'm sure it was.
He meant to do it. I know Leroy well.
It was no accident, Christine. It was deliberate. The spiteful act of a neurotic child.
He meant to do it. You made up your mind to do when you went to the room.
Rhoda.
I was looking at you when you made up your mind to wed us.
Oh, no, I'd never. I'm just clumsy.
Oh, Leroy, please, please.
My patience is at an end, and you may as well know it. Go about your work.
Yes, ma'am.
He has the mind of an 8-year-old, but he's managed to produce a family, so I keep him on. Oh, that'll be Miss Fern.
Yes, come in, Miss Fern. We're nearly ready, I think.
I'm a bit ahead of time as usual.
Miss Fern, the old scatterbrain left her 2 dozen cupcakes upstairs. Rhoda, will you help me carry them down?
Yes, of course I will.
They're all packed.
Good morning, Mrs. Fern.
That's a perfect courtesy, Rhoda.
Thank you, Mrs. Fern.
She does such things
Oh,
well.
she does everything well, as you must know better than I.
And as a person, does she fit in well at the school?
Oh, let me think. In what way, Mrs. Penmark?
Well, Rhoda has been... I don't quite know how to say it. There's a mature quality about her that's disturbing in a child. My husband and I thought that a school like yours, where you believe in discipline and the old-fashioned virtues, might perhaps teach her to be a bit more of a child.
Yes, I know what you mean. In some ways, in many ways, Rhoda is the most satisfactory student the school has ever had. She's never been absent. She's never been tardy. In the history of the school, she is the most perfect student. She's made 100 in deportment each month in every class, and 100 in self-reliance and conservation on the playground each month for a full school year. If you had dealt with as many children as I have, you'd know what a remarkable record that is. And she's the neatest little girl I've ever encountered.
Kenneth says he doesn't know where she gets her tidiness. Certainly not from him or me.
And she has many good qualities. She's certainly no tattletale.
Oh,
One of our children broke a window across the street, and we knew that Rhoda knew who it was. When we questioned her about it and told her it was her duty as an honorable citizen to report the offender, she merely looked at us and went on eating her apple, looking us over with that pitying, calculating look she has at certain times.
oh, I know that look so well.
Oh, but that was admirable, too, for she was merely being loyal to her playmate.
Well, then do the other children like her? Is she popular?
The other children? Well,
Here we are.
Well, I guess I should go, for my sisters and the others will be waiting. Goodbye, Mrs.
Oh,
Penmark.
goodbye, Miss Fern. May it be everything a picnic should be.
Thank you. Come, Rhoda.
Yes, Miss Fern.
Calm sea and prosperous voyage.
Thank you. We'll take care of her. No time. We're off.
We stole time, didn't we, Rhoda?
Bless you both.
So, now the older set's left behind with nothing to do.
I suppose I could go through the dreary business of trying to make my face presentable. It happens every morning.
Your face, think of mine.
It always makes me so gloomy when Kenneth goes away. Anything could happen before I see him again. There's an old saying, we die a little at parting.
My dear, we die a little every day if we're going to brood about it. Why don't we make some kind of party of this? You're having Emery and Reginald Tasker to lunch. Can't I help with that?
What do you feed a criminologist?
Oh, prussic acid, blue vitriol, ground glass.
Ah, hot weather things.
Nothing would hurt Reggie. He thrives on buckets of blood and sudden death.
How many mysteries has he written?
A complete set of his works would encircle the Empire State Building. Or me. Come on. I'm a garrulous old hag, but I can grind glass. We're not gonna let you be lonely. So stupid. I thought I was gonna fire him on the spot today.
Oh, he must be more forgiving.
Forgiving? Are you kidding? Did you see what he did to Rhoda's shoes?
It's an accident.
It was no accident. He's a stupid, spiteful man, and I am gonna fire him.
That know-it-all Monica Breedlove, she don't think nobody knows nothing but her. I'll show that bitch plenty. And that young trot-fed Miss Penmark, she don't get enough of what she needs. I could give it to her. Rhoda now. That's a smart little girl. She's almost as smart as I am. She sees right through me. I sees right through her. But damn, she's smart.
Nobody ever believes me when I tell them I met Sigmund Freud.
Oh, come now, they believe you.
You mean it's automatic flattery. They know I'm old enough, but they voice doubts to make me feel better? Well, anyway, it wasn't Freud who analyzed me. It was Dr. Kettlebaum in London.
Oh, now we're off.
And this was my choice, too. Not that I minimize Freud's professional standing, for I still consider him the great genius of our time. But Dr. Kettlebaum was more simpatico, if you know what I mean, Reggie.
It means simpatico, if you know what that means.
Freud loathed American women.
Oh.
Especially the ones that talk back to him. And I loathed his Germanic prejudice against feminine independence, which he couldn't conceal.
Freud was prejudiced.
Indeed he was. Not consciously, you know, he just bristled when I suggested that women had more sense than men. Now, Dr. Kettlebaum believed in the power of the individual soul and considered sex of only trivial interest. His mind was less literal, more mystic, like my own.
Oh, Monica, really? Did the analysis do you any good, actually?
Well, it broke up my marriage. I looked at the very bottom of my soul. What a spectacle. When I came back, I asked Mr. Breedlove for a divorce, and he didn't oppose it. So then I decided what I'd always really wanted to do was to make a home for my brother Emery. And so I did. I don't think dear Emery appreciates it. But what woman would ever...
I can stand anything except talk about your analysis and analyzing of your friends and me. I don't want to look into the bottom of my soul.
I can understand that perfectly. We're all so sensitive about these things. The truth absolutely disgusts us. Now I come to the conclusion that Emery is a larvated homosexual. What?
Thank you. What does that mean?
It means covered, as with a mask, concealed, larvated.
It just means something that hasn't come to the surface as yet.
Well, you could say that again, because if I'm a homosexual, they'll have to change the whole concept of what goes on amongst them.
What gives you that idea, Monica?
Pure association, the best evidence of all. Emery's 38 years old. He's never been married. I doubt if he's ever had a serious love affair.
How would you know if they're serious?
Please, let's look at things objectively. What are Emery's deepest interests in life? They are fishing, murder mysteries where housewives get, singing in male quartets. How does Emery spend his Sundays? He spends them on a boat with Reggie and other men fishing. And are there ladies present on these occasions? There are not.
Damn right they are not.
I guess you're all shocked, aren't you? Well, you shouldn't be. Actually, homosexuality is triter than incest. Dr. Kettlebound considered it all a matter of personal preference. Now, I'm perfectly frank about myself. Subconsciously, I have an incestuous fixation on Emery. It's not normal, but that's the way it is.
Oh, thank you, big sister. Can't we talk about something normal? You know, like murder. Anybody mind if I smoke a cigar?
Ugh, what are you trying to prove, Emery?
Let's relax away from this table. Have our tea over there.
Yes, we've run through sex. Now let's try homicide. Reggie, you're the expert.
Any changes for the better.
All right, I'll oblige. I've been collecting data on Mrs. Allison lately. News Budget wants an article on it, though I can't say she's a very flaming subject. Just an unimaginative nurse who decided she was in a position to kill folks off with their life insurance policies, and ran through quite a list before anyone suspected her.
Was this recent?
Last year, the year before. She'd still be going, only she was too stupid to vary her poisons, with the result that all her victims had similar symptoms. Nausea, burning throat, intestinal pain, to say nothing of the conventional life insurance policies made out to the old girl with the arsenic.
Please, I don't like to hear about such things.
You don't?
No.
Now, that's an interesting psychic block. Why would Christine dislike hearing about murder?
I don't know. I have an aversion to violence of any kind. I even hate the revolver that Kenneth keeps in the house.
Ah, so you dislike the revolver more than the poisons?
I hate them both.
Maybe if you try saying the first thing that comes into your mind, we can get to the root of the anxiety. Just say it, no matter how silly it seems to you. Tell your story, Reggie, and Christine will associate.
Oh, nonsense, Monica!
What do you mean associate?
Oh,
Well, the end of the story goes like this. Towards the middle of May last year, Mrs. Allison went to visit her sister-in-law's family. She got there in time for lunch, and her niece Shirley reminded her that she had promised to bring a present for her birthday. Mrs. Allison was so upset about forgetting that she ran down to the neighborhood store and bought some candy and soft drinks for the family.
do you think of anything?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, actually, she had remembered to bring her niece a present. 10 cents worth of arsenic.
But there must be something in your mind, something.
What I was thinking at the moment was how devoted the Fern sisters were to my father when he was a radio commentator.
Oh, I don't think I understand that. So far, how did you know of this?
Well, they told me when I entered Rhoda in their school.
Isn't your father Richard Bravo?
Yes.
I thought so. You know, the whole nation was devoted to him during the last war.
I listen to Bravo every evening.
Is there more story, Reggie?
Mrs. Allison returned from town and opened a bottle of sarsaparilla for her niece Shirley and watched the little girl's convulsions for an hour.
Now, without thinking at all, what's your second association? No editing, no skipping.
What I was thinking then was even sillier. I've always had a feeling that I was an adopted child, but the Bravos weren't my real parents.
You poor innocent darling. Don't you know that changeling fantasy is the commonest of childhood? I once believed I was a foundling with royal blood. Plantagenet, I think it was, and Emery was a Tudor. But have you really always had this suspicion you were adopted?
Yes, always.
but no evidence.
Only that I dream about it.
What kind of dreams?
Oh, Monica, really? Must I tell my dreams, too? I'd rather hear the murder story.
Well, let's hear more story, then more from Christine.
Why do you always want to dig at people's insides? Monica, you're a ghoul.
Of course, who isn't? Furnish the details, Reggie.
Well, Mrs. Alston returned to town on an urgent errand. It seems she had forgotten to pay the current premium on the policy on Shirley's life. And this was the last day of grace.
Stupid.
Allison was certainly crude. But there have been artists in her line. Real gifted operators like Bessie Denker. Bessie never made a mistake, never left a trace, never committed an imperfect crime.
Who is this?
The most amazing woman in all the annals of homicide, Bessie Denker. She was beautiful, she was brainy, and she was ruthless. She never used the same poison twice. Her own father, for example, died of rabies poison, supposedly contracted from a mad dog.
Darling.
Mother, you know, we really didn't have our lunch because Claude Dager was drowned.
I know, it was on the radio.
He was drowned, then they were all rushing and calling and hurrying to see if they could make him alive again. But they couldn't. So then they said the picnic was over and we had to go home.
Oh, I'm glad you're home.
So could I have a peanut butter sandwich and milk?
Did you see him, dear?
Yes. Then they put a blanket over.
Are you ready for your story?
Yes.
Then the knight alit from his steed and sought what way he could find out of this labyrinth. And a path appearing, he began to make his way along it. And it began at that time to grow dark. The knight had not gone more than a dozen paces before he saw beside a path a beautiful lady who had laid out a fair damask cloth under an oak and set thereon cakes and dainties and a flagon with 2 silver cups.
Mommy,
Yes.
why aren't you reading?
Oh, I was just thinking, I guess.
What about the accident?
Partly. And about my toll phone call. The circuits were busy.
What are cakes and dainties?
Oh, little cakes, I think. And set thereon cakes and dainties in a flagon with 2 silver cups. Knight, she called, knight, come eat and drink with me, for you are hungry and thirsty, and I am alone. Did you take your vitamins, dear?
Oh, I took one before. This is the second. I was saving them because I like the juice. This is wonderful to have you read to me out here.
Well, you better take the third one now. You'll be too sleepy.
All right, I'll close my eyes, but I won't go to sleep.
I know. Then the knight answered her, I thank you, fair lady, for I am not only hungry and thirsty, but I am lost within the forest. Then he let his palfrey graze nearby, and he feasted with the lady, who gave him loving looks, sweeter than the wine from the flagon, though the wine was sweet and strong. And in this fashion the time passed till the light was gone out of the woods, and it was dark. The knight heard the music of hautboy softly playing, and he perceived that a fair pavilion stood nearby under the oak trees, lighted by a torch at the entrance, where there were servants going to and fro. And he was aware that the pavilion had not been there in daylight, but had been created out of darkness by magic. Rhoda? Rhoda? Yes, I placed a call to Washington, D.C. Mr. Richard Bravo, that's right. Bethesda 71293. Daddy, how are you? I've been trying to reach you all evening. Daddy, you said in your last letter you might be coming to Tallahassee. Are you sure you're well enough to be doing such things? Well, that's not really far from here. Couldn't you come to see me? Oh, couldn't you make it sooner? Could you... Oh, no, it's not that. We're both well. Oh, you met Kenneth in Washington. How is he? Oh, tell him I love him and I miss him very much. But, Daddy, I must see you. No, it's nothing like that. Daddy, do you remember that recurrent dream I used to have when I was a little girl? Well, now I'm beginning to have it again and again. I know what the Freudians say, but even they can tell you dreams don't come out of any past but your own. Daddy, is there some terrible thing in my past I don't know? Well, no, nobody. It's something I dream. Oh, well, all right. I'll be good. Remember, I love you, Daddy. And tell Kenneth I'm finishing my first letter to him tonight, and I'll send it airmail special in the morning. Daddy, I will see you, won't I? All right, dear. Good night.
May I come in, Mrs. Fenmore?
Yes, of course, Miss Fern. I meant to come see you. I got your note.
We're in such distress, all of us at the school, and we've suffered such a blow losing one of the children that way. I'm sure you won't mind us going over and over things.
I think everybody has been puzzled and worried and saddened.
I don't know of any happening to puzzle so many people in so many ways, and I can help so few of them. I've just come from seeing Mrs. Daigle. Our first thought was of her. The rest of us are touched only lightly by this tragedy. She will have to live with it for the rest of her days.
I know.
I visited her several times, and each time she's asked me to find out from you if you have any clue as to where the penmanship medal might be.
Was it lost?
Yes, it wasn't found with the body and has completely disappeared.
I didn't know of this.
Good morning, Mrs. Fern.
Good morning, Rhoda.
Stop around cover for a while and read my book?
Of course, Rhoda.
It's shady there, and I can see your window, and you could watch me from the window. And I like to be where you can see me.
Is it a new book?
Yes, it's Elsie Densmore. The one I got as a prize for Sunday school.
Well, I'll be right here.
I'll be right there all the time. Goodbye, Mrs. Fern.
It occurred to me that Rhoda might have told you a detail or two which she hadn't remembered when she spoke with me. You see, she was the last to see the Daigle boy alive.
Are you sure of that?
Yes.
I hadn't realized.
About an hour after we arrived at the estate, one of our older pupils came on Rhoda and the Daigle boy at the far ends of the grounds. The boy was upset and crying. Rhoda was standing in front of him, blocking his path. The older girl was amongst the trees, and neither child saw her. She was just about to intervene when Rhoda shoved the boy and snatched at the medal. But he broke away from her and ran down the beach in the direction of the old wharf, where he was later found. Rhoda followed him, not running, just walking along, taking her time, the older girl said.
Has it occurred to you that the older girl might not have been telling the truth?
She has been with us since kindergarten days. She was telling precisely what she saw. We know her well.
And this was the last time Claude was seen.
Yes, about an hour after that, one of the guards saw Rhoda coming off the wharf. He shouted a warning, but by then she was on the beach and he decided to forget the matter. But he didn't identify the girl by name. She was wearing a blue dress, he said. Rhoda was the only girl to wear a dress that day. An hour later, the lunch bell rang. The roll was Claude. Claude was missing. You know the rest, I think.
Yes, but this is serious. If
Not-
Rhoda was on the wharf.
Not serious, really, for when you know as much of how children behave as I do, Mrs. Penmark, so many things could have happened quite innocently. The boy may have hidden himself in the old boathouse, and then when discovered by Rhoda, may have backed away and fallen into the wharf.
Yes, that could have happened.
But Claude was an excellent swimmer. And Rhoda knew this. But how could she have known that he would have fallen in the exact spot where the treacherous pilings were?
No, she couldn't possibly.
Or maybe, when he had fallen into the water, she was afraid that he'd ruin his new suit and she'd get a scolding for causing it. Later on, when it was too late to do anything about it, she was afraid to admit what had happened.
Then you think Rhoda knows something she isn't admitting?
I think that, like many a frightened soldier, Rhoda has deserted under fire. This is not a serious charge, really, for few of us are courageous when tested.
She has lied, though.
Smooth the lines from your brow, my dear. You're so much prettier when smiling.
I shall question Rhoda.
I wish you would, though I doubt you'll find out more than you know.
Miss Fern, there's something I want to ask you. There was a floral tribute at Claude's funeral sent by the children of the Fern School. I suppose the children shared in the expense, but I haven't been asked to pay any part of it.
Oh, well, we thought you'd want to send flowers individually, my dear.
Why should we want to send flowers individually? Rhoda wasn't friendly with the boy, and my husband and I had never met the Daigles.
My dear, there are three of us, and in the hurry of making decisions,
You make excuses for Rhoda, and then you admit you did not ask me to help pay for the flowers. And the reasons you give for not asking are obviously specious. Does this mean that in your mind and the minds of your sisters, that there is some connection between the Daigle boy's death and Rhoda's presence on the wharf?
oh, not at all.
Yet you have acted as if they were.
Yes, perhaps we have.
This is a tragedy for Mrs. Daigle, as you say. She has lost her only child. But if there were some shadow over Rhoda from what has happened, I must live under it, and my husband too. As for Rhoda, she would not be happy in your school next year.
No, she would not. And since she would not, it would be as well to make up our minds now that she will not be there.
And there is a shadow over Rhoda. And you have already decided not to invite her back?
Yes, we have made that decision.
But you can't tell me why.
I think her behavior in the matter of the medal is sufficient explanation. She's a poor loser. She doesn't play the game.
But you're not saying Rhoda had anything to do with the Daigle boy's death.
Of course not. Such a possibility never entered our minds.
I better answer.
Of course, my dear. Thanks.
Yes?
We're Mrs. Daigle and Mr. Daigle. You didn't have to let us in, you know. You do realize we followed you. We shouldn't have done it. I'm a little drunk. I guess you never get a little drunk.
You're quite welcome, both of you.
No, pay no attention to him. He's all for good breeding. He tried to stop me, you know. Now you, Miss Penmark, you always had plenty. You're a superior person.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yes. Father was rich. Rich Richard Bravo. I know. Me? I worked in the beauty parlor. Miss Byrne used to come there.
Please, Mrs. Daigle.
Yeah, now she looks down on me. I was that frumpy redhead. Now I lost my boy and I'm a lush. Everybody knows it.
We're worried about Mrs. Daigle. Now, she's on the doctor's care. She's not herself.
Yeah, but I know what I'm about just the same. Just the same. May I call you Christine? I realize you come from a higher level of society. You probably made a debut and all that. I've always considered Christine such a gentle name. Hortense sounds flat. That's me, Hortense. My girl Hortense. That's what they used to sing at me. Hasn't got much sense. Let's write her name on the privy fence. Children can be nasty, don't you think?
Please, Hortense.
You're so attractive, Christine. And you have such exquisite taste in clothes. But of course you have apples of money to buy them with. What I came to see you about. Now I asked Miss Byrne, how did Claude happen to lose the medal?
I don't...
But she wouldn't tell me a thing.
I don't know, Mrs. Penmark. I really...
Yeah, you know more than you're telling. You're a sly one because of that school. See, you don't want that school to get a bad name. But you know more than you're telling, Miss Butterwooden Melfern. There's something funny about this whole thing. I've said so over and over, Mr. Diego. He married quite late, you know. In his 40s. And I wasn't exactly what the fellows call a spring chicken either. We won't have any more children. No more.
Now, please, Hortense. Now, let me take you home where you can rest.
Rest, sleep. When you can't sleep at night, you can't sleep in the daylight. Yeah, I lie and I look at the water where he went down. There's something funny about this whole thing, Christine. I heard that your little girl was the last one to see him alive. Will you ask her about the last few minutes and tell me what she says? Maybe she can remember some little thing. I really don't care how small, no matter how small. You know something? Miss Byrne dyes her hair. She knows something, and she won't tell me. My poor little Claude. What did they do to you?
Oh, I will ask Rhoda Hortense. If I only knew.
Somebody took the medal off his shirt, Christine. It could have come over there by accident. I pinned it on there myself. It had a metal clasp that locks in place. It was no accident. You know, you can wear such simple things. I can never wear simple things. I can't even buy them. Well, I got them home then and looked simple. He was such a lovely, dear little boy. He said, I was his sweetheart. He said he was going to marry me when he grew up. And I would laugh and I would say, you'll probably forget about me long before it's
In the box of your cupboard. Now I want you to tell me the truth.
When we move into our new house, we have a scarf in our cupboard, Mother. Can we, Mother? It's so shady and pretty, and I love sitting in it.
Answer my question. Remember, I'm not as innocent about what went on at the picnic as you may think. Miss Byrne has told me a great deal. So please don't bother to make up any story for my benefit. How did the penmanship medal get in your box? It certainly didn't get there by itself. I'm waiting for your answer.
I don't know how the medal got there, Mother. How could I?
You know. You know very well how it got there. Did you go on the wharf at any time during the picnic? At any time?
Yes, Mother. I went there once.
Was that before or after you were bothering Claude?
I wasn't bothering Claude, Mother. What makes you think that?
Why did you go on the wharf?
It was real early, when we first got there.
Why did you go on the wharf? You knew it was forbidden.
One of the big boys said that little oysters grew in the pilings there. I wanted to see if they did.
One of the guards said he saw you coming off the wharf, and he says it was just a little before lunchtime.
I don't know why he says that. He's wrong. And I told Miss Fern he was wrong. He hollered at me to come off the wharf, and I did. And I went back on the lawn, and that's where I saw Claude. But I wasn't bothering him.
What did you say to Claude?
I said, if I didn't win the medal, I was glad he did.
Oh, please, please. I know you're an adroit liar, but I must have the truth.
But it's all true, Mother, every word.
One of the monitors said he saw you try to snatch the medal off Claude's shirt. Is that all true, every word?
Oh, that big girl was Mary Beth Musgrove. She told everybody she saw me. Even Leroy knows she saw me. You see, Claude and I were just playing a little game we made up. He said, if I could catch him in 10 minutes and test the medal with my hands, it was like prisoner's space. He let me wear the medal for an hour. How could Mary Beth say I took the medal? I didn't.
She didn't say you took the medal. She said you grabbed at it, and that Claude ran away down the beach. Did you have the medal even then?
No, Mommy, not then.
Rhoda, how did you get the medal?
Claude went back on his promise, and I followed him up the beach. And then he stopped and said I could wear the medal all day if I gave him 50 cents.
Rhoda, stop that. Is that the truth?
Yes, Mother. I gave him 50 cents, and he let me wear the medal.
Well, why didn't you tell this to Miss Fern when she questioned you?
Oh, Mommy, Miss Fern doesn't like me at all. I was afraid she'd think bad things about me if I told her I had the medal.
Rhoda, you know how much Mrs. Daigle wanted the medal, didn't you?
Yes, I guess I did.
And why didn't you give it to her? Miss Daigle is heartbroken over Claude's death. It's destroyed her. I don't think she'll ever recover from it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I guess so.
No, you don't know what I mean.
But I still don't want to bury the medal pinned on Claude's coat. Claude was dead. He wouldn't know whether he had the medal pinned on him or not. Oh, I've got the sweetest mother. I tell everybody I've got the sweetest mother in the world. If she wanted a little boy that bad, why does she just take him out of the orphan's home?
Rhoda, get away from me! Don't speak to me! We have nothing to say to each other.
Okay, Mother.
Rhoda, when we lived in Baltimore, there was an old lady upstairs, Mrs. Clara Post, who liked you very much.
Yes?
You used to go up to see her every afternoon. She was very old, and she loved to show you all her treasures. The one you admired most was a crystal ball in which opals floated. She promised this treasure to you when she died. One afternoon, when the daughter was out shopping at the supermarket and you were alone with her, she somehow managed to fall down the spiral back stairs and break her neck. Now, you said she heard a kitten mewing outside and went out to see about it and somehow missed her footing and fell 5 flights to the courtyard below.
Yes, it's true.
And you went to the daughter, asked for the crystal ball, and it's still hanging at the head of your bed.
Yes, Mother.
Rhoda, did you have anything to do, anything at all, no matter how little it was, with Claude getting drowned?
No, Mother.
Rhoda, come here. Look me in the eyes and tell me. I must know.
No, Mother, I didn't.
You're not going back to the Furnace School next year. They don't want you anymore.
Okay.
I'll call Miss Fern and ask her to come over.
She'll think I lied to her.
You did lie to her.
But not to you, Mother, not to you.
Miss Claudia Fern, please. No, no message. She's not home yet.
What will you tell her, Mother?
No. It can't be true. It can't be.
Oh, Christine, you said I might have Rhoda for a while, and there's a package for you.
Oh, Monica, you're always the bringer of gifts.
No, this is from somebody else. It was in the package room.
Oh, for Rhoda, from Daddy.
For me?
Oh, not yet. In anticipation of her 9th birthday.
What does anticipation mean?
Looking forward to it.
Not to be opened.
Oh, it's a long time to wait, but I will.
Isn't she the perfect old-fashioned little girl? She'll wait.
Oh, wait, there's more in Daddy's writing. Open when you get it. There'll be a real one later.
But then he wants me to open it now?
It just needs to be slipped down the side.
There's Excelsior.
Oh, Rhoda.
Excelsior.
It should be opened in the kitchen.
Okay.
I wish she were mine. Every time I look at her, I wish I had just such a little girl.
She's not wanted in the Fern School next year.
Why?
She doesn't fit in. She doesn't play the game. She's a poor sport.
Honestly, the longer I live, the more I see, the less I understand the tight little minds of people like the Fern girls. The truth of the matter is, Rhoda's much too charming, too clever, too unusual for them. She makes those others look stupid and stodgy by comparison. Have one?
Oh, I seem to have quit.
Seem to have. Good God, if I were to quit, you'd hear the repercussions in New Orleans. I string along with St. Paul. It's better to smoke than to burn. By the way, can Rhoda stay up and have dinner with me tonight?
Oh, yes, she could. I've asked Reginald Pastor over for cocktails and to talk to me about some writing I want to try.
Oh, fine. There's no reason why Rhoda should hear about his strychnines and belladonnas. Rhoda, you're to have dinner with me tonight.
I am. May I bring my new puzzle?
You surely may.
Is that what it was?
I think it must be the best jigsaw puzzle in the whole world.
Leroy.
Oh, Leroy, there's a lot of Excelsior.
He'll take care of it.
Oh, don't bother to sweep the kitchen. I'll do it.
It's a map of Asia with all the animals.
I have an aversion to cobras, but it's Freudian.
There's a lot of this stuff scattered around, Miss Penmar.
Let him sweep it, dear. I shall run up and check the simmering meat sauce.
Oh, is it spaghetti?
It is approved.
My favorite.
Come up anytime. It must be nearly ready.
Mrs. Penmar?
Oh, Western Union for you, dear.
Well,
Is it Daddy?
oh, not your daddy this time, mine.
Grandfather?
He's coming here. He'll be here tonight. Oh, I think Monica has an extra room. I'll run up and ask. I'll be right back.
There she sits at her little table, doing her puzzle, looking all cute and innocent. Looking like she wouldn't even melt butter. She's that cool, fooling people with that innocent look she can put on and put off whenever she wants to. But not me. Not even part way. She can't fool me. She don't want to talk to nobody smart. She likes to talk to people she can fool, like her mama, Miss Breedlove, and Mr. Emery.
Go on to the Excelsior. You talk silly all the time. I know what you do with the Excelsior. You make a bed of Excelsior in the garage behind that old couch. And you sleep there where nobody can see you.
I've been behind the times heretofore, but now I got your number, miss. I've been hearing things about you that ain't nice. I've been hearing you beat up that poor little Claude boy, and it took all three of the Fern sisters to get you off him.
If you tell lies like that, you won't go to heaven when you die.
I heard plenty. I listen to people talk, not like you who's gabbing all the time and won't let a person get a word in edgewise. That's why I know what people are saying and you don't.
People tell lies all the time. I think you tell them more than anybody else.
I know what you done to that boy after you got him out on that walk. You better listen to me if you want to keep out of bad trouble.
What did I do if you know so much?
You picked up a stick and you hit him with it. You hit him because he wouldn't give you that medal like you told him. I thought I seen some mean little girls in my time, but you're the meanest. You want to know how I know how mean you are? Because I'm mean. I'm smart, and I'm mean.
Coming back into the criminology racket. There's been nobody like you since you've left.
Well, all compliments aside, a lot of books didn't sell as well as my earlier ones, and the war came along. Now I write fella.
You've written things that won't be forgotten.
That's all.
And now your daughter wants to try her hand.
At writing? She carried the spell.
Well, I think they're lonely here while Kenneth's away. I thought I'd try to work out a murder mystery in the evenings.
And you're encouraging this competition?
Well, I was rather stumped by her last question. She was asking whether criminal children are always the product of their environment.
Oh, nothing difficult about that, little one. They are. Look, can't I have some of that wicked mixed in your lap enough?
Yes, of course, Daddy. I'm sorry. Do you really think they're always a product of environment?
Always.
I couldn't prove you're wrong, of course, but some doctor friends of mine assure me that we've all been putting too much emphasis on environment and too little on heredity lately. They say there's a type of criminal born with no capacity for remorse or guilt, born with the kind of brain that may have been normal among humans 50,000 years ago.
You believe it?
Yes, I guess I do.
Well, I don't.
I've been convinced that there are people, only a few and certainly very unfortunate, that are incapable from the beginning of acquiring a conscience or moral character, unable even to love except physically, no feelings for right or wrong.
I've heard such assertions, but I've never found any evidence behind them. If you encounter a human without compassion or pity or morals, he grew up in a place where these things weren't encouraged. That's final and absolute. This stuff you're talking is tolerable.
Well, do your doctor friends have any evidence?
They can't prove it as yet, but they think there are such people. They say there are children born into the best families with every advantage of education and discipline that never acquire any moral scruples. It's as if they were born blind. You couldn't expect to teach them to see.
And do they look like brutes?
Are you sold on this?
I want to find out.
Sometimes they do, but often they present a more convincing picture of virtue than normal folks. A wax rosebud or a plastic peach can look more perfect than the real thing. They imitate humanity beautifully.
Oh, but that's horrible.
Some of them seem to have done some pretty horrible things and kept on looking innocent and sweet.
Well, I'd like to examine the evidence. Until we do, there's not much sense in discussing it.
I would like to go into that with you, Mr. Robert. This clinic I frequent came long ago to the conclusion that there are bad seeds, just plain bad from the beginning, and nothing can change them.
And this favorite murderess of yours, the one you were speaking of the other day, is she an instance?
Bessie Denker. Was she a bad seed? Well, she may have been, because the death started so early in her vicinity. Bessie earned the sobriquet of the Destroying Angel in early childhood.
Oh, then she began young.
Yes. The name wasn't transferred to her till much later when the whole story of her career came out, but Bessie was lethal and accurate from the beginning. One of her most famous murders involved the use of a deadly amanita, a mushroom known as a Destroying Angel, and some clever reporter transferred the term to her later. In fact, it was a colleague of yours, Mr. Bravo, unless I've missed something.
It may have been, I don't know.
Well, how did she end?
Well, Mr. Bravo knows more about it than I do.
Not at all. I've dropped all that. I'm in oil now.
Tell me, how did she end?
Well,
You don't want to probe into this mess, sweetheart.
Yes.
Can't we change the subject?
No, Daddy. I want to know. What was the rest of the story, Mr. Tasker?
There's the mystery. By the time the authorities were really roused about it, she disappeared from the Middle West. Just seemed to vanish. She had quite a bit of money by that time. The person that Phillips seems to know most about it maintains that she went to the Middle West, Australia. A similar beauty emerged in Melbourne. Her name was Beulah Demarest. So if it's the same person, she didn't have to change the initials on her linen or silver.
How could she kill so many and leave no trace?
Well, you wrote a famous paper listing all her methods. You must know it better than I do.
Not at all. I've dropped all that. Haven't read the recent literature.
Did she ever use violence?
Forgive me, sir. I'll make it short. She made a specialty of poisons, studied not only drugs and toxins, but the lives of those she wished to kill. It's practically impossible to prove murder when the victim dies of rattlesnake poison in western Colorado. There's too many diamondbacks about. And tetanus can be picked up in any barnyard. She made use of such things. It all came to a sudden end. She was indicted again and took off her parts unknown, leaving... Wait, wasn't there a child, a little girl?
Never heard of one. That must be in addition to the recent myth.
I wanted to ask one more question. Was she ever found out here?
Oh, not in this country. 3 juries looked at that lovely dewy face and heard that melting cultured voice and said she couldn't have done it.
She wasn't convicted.
Not guilty 3 times.
Do you think she was one of these poor deformed children born without pity?
Personally, I do.
Did she have an enchanting smile?
Oh, it was dazzling by all accounts.
She was doomed.
Absolutely. Doomed from the beginning to commit murder after murder until somehow or other she was found out.
She would have been better off if she'd died young.
And so would society. And yet sometimes I wonder whether these malignant brutes may not be the mutation that survives on the planet in this age. This age of technology and murder for empire. Maybe the softies will have to go and the snake-hearted will inherit the earth.
Well, I'm betting on democracy.
And so am I. But we live in an age of murder. In all of history, there have never been as many people murdered as in our century. Add up all the murders from the beginning of 1900, from the beginning of history to 1900, and add up all the murders after 1900. And our century wins, all alone. And on that merry note, I think I shall take my leave, for I meant not to bother you, and I've been lecturing.
You've got a highly questionable theory there about brevity.
Well, I'd like to go into that with you when there's more time.
Let's do that the next time I'm in town.
Yes. And I'll say good evening, Mrs. Penmark, for I'm afraid the pleasure's been all mine.
No, not at all. I'll call you early in the week.
I'm always about. Good night, sir.
Good night. Are you really planning to write something?
I was just asking questions. So you met Kenneth in Washington?
Yes, he's looking well as possible, but the fellow's hot, sticky-tied, and most of all lonesome.
We had counted on going somewhere this summer. Then there was a sudden change of orders.
Am I looking too close, or is there something heavy on your mind?
Does something show in my face?
Everything shows on your face. It always did.
Well, I don't know if there's anything wrong now that you're here. I always felt so safe and comfortable when you were in the room. You have that same effect on me now.
Well, to tell you the truth, you did magic for me. I'd always wanted a little girl, and you were every lovely thing a little girl could be for her old dad. But Christine, what did you want to ask me that night you phoned?
Well, let me think. Would you like another drink?
Yes, I guess I will. Let me fix up. Will you have more gin and tonic?
No, thank you.
And speak up, darling. It's between us, whatever it is.
My landlady here is a sort of amateur psychiatrist, devotee of Freud, constantly analyzing.
I know the sort.
Her name is Breedlove, and you'll meet her because she's offered you a wonderful room to stay in while you're here. Rhoda's having dinner with her tonight.
You were going to come out with something.
Yes, well, what I was going to ask reminded me of her. I confessed to her the other day that I had always worried about being an adopted child. I had always been afraid that Mommy wasn't really my mother and the daddy that I loved so much wasn't really my daddy.
What did she say?
Well, she said it was one of the commonest fantasies of childhood. Everybody has it. She herself has had it.
It certainly is common.
But that doesn't help me. I still feel just as strongly as ever that old fear that you're not really mine.
Has something made you think of this lately?
Yes,
What is it?
it's my little girl, Rhoda.
What about her?
She terrifies me. I'm afraid for her. I'm afraid of what she may have inherited from me.
What could she have inherited?
Father. Daddy. Whose child am I?
Mine.
Daddy, dearest. Don't lie to me. It's gone beyond where that will help. I've told you about a dream I have, and I'm not sure it's all a dream. Whose child am I? Are you my father? I know this is a strange way to greet you after being away for so long, but I have to ask it. And for Rhoda's sake and for mine, you must tell me.
What has Rhoda done?
I don't know. But I'm afraid.
It cannot be inherited. It cannot.
Father! You're not well.
I'm all right. Just give me a glass of water. Tracy fibrillation once in a while. Quite normal at my age. Thank you. With fibrillation is also dizziness. Also, no. I'm all right.
I won't ask you any more questions. I'm sorry.
I think that's better. Let me just close the book.
Only I have the answer now.
The answer?
Yes.
I've always been a very fortunate man, Christine. I could tell you of a long history of jobs that came in the nick of time, lost money found, friends that showed up to pay old debts just when I had to have the money. At every major turning point in my life, some good fairy has seemed to intervene and flip things my way. But the biggest piece of luck I ever had, the luck that saved my reason and it kept me going, was a little girl named Christine. You were the only child I ever had. My life was futile and barren before you came. But as I said, you did magic for me. You made my life better. I wrote about other things. I changed my way of life. But I kept going because of you.
You don't have to say any more.
I don't, do I?
You found me somewhere.
Yes. In a very strange place, in a strange way.
I know the place.
I don't think you could. You were less than 10 years old.
I either remember it or I dreamed it.
What kind of a dream?
I dream of a bedroom in a farmhouse in the countryside where there were orchards. I share the room with my brother, who is older than I, and is it my mother? She comes to take care of him. She was a graceful, lovely woman, like an angel. Well, I suppose my brother must have died, for afterwards I'm alone in the room. One night, I awake feeling terrified, and for some reason, I can't stay in that house. I somehow managed to get out the window and fall into the grass below and hide myself in the tall weeds beyond the first orchard. I don't remember much more except toward morning I'm thirsty and I keep eating the yellow pippins that fall from the tree. And when first light comes up on the clouds, I can hear my mother calling my name from some distance away, but I don't answer. I stay hidden in the weeds because I'm afraid. Is this only a dream?
What name did she call?
It isn't Christine. Could it be Ingold?
You remember that name?
Yes. It comes back to me. Ingold! Ingold Denker! She? Denker? Well, Daddy, you have concealed something from me all these years, haven't you? I came in of that terrible household. You found me there?
It was the neighbors that found you after your mother vanished. Where she went, I never knew, nor did they. But she had quite a fortune by that time, and something had panicked her, so she quickly got away, leaving one child. A most astonishingly sweet and beautiful little thing, with the most enchanting smile I'd ever seen. I was there covering a story for a Chicago paper, and I wired for my wife to join me. We couldn't resist you.
Oh, Daddy, oh, Daddy. Oh, God, help me. Oh, why didn't you leave me there?
It was the neighbors who found you and saved you. Would you have rather stayed with them?
Oh, no, you know I wouldn't. You've been a wonderful father. Oh, but the place. Oh, and the evil woman, my mother.
There are places and events in every man's life he'd rather not remember. Don't let it hurt you now. It's the past. It doesn't touch you.
I wish I had died then. I wish it. I wish it.
It hasn't mattered where you came from. You've been sound and sweet and loving. You gave me more than I ever gave or ever could repay. If you were my own, I couldn't have hoped for more. You gave us love and kindness, and you do nothing but love and kindness from your life, all of us. Kenneth loves you, and you've made him happy. And Rhoda's a perfect, sweet, sound little girl.
Is she, Father? Is she?
What has Rhoda done?
It's as if she were born blind.
It cannot happen. It does not happen.
Excuse me, please, but Rhoda has eaten her dinner, tired of her puzzle, and now she wants a book.
I haven't even started yet.
And I haven't met Mr. Bravo. How do you do? I'm Mrs. Breedlove, the oversized analyst. I'm going to put you up and promise not to annoy you.
Well, you know what newspapermen are like. Crusted, bitter, irascible. If you can put up with me, you're a saint.
Granddaddy!
Rhoda!
Isn't she perfection?
Next to Daddy, you hug me the best. Why do you look at me?
I want to see your face.
You know, Mr. Bravo, these Penmarks are the most enchanting neighbors I've ever had. Now I'll want Rhoda for dinner every night. Tell me, Mr. Bravo, didn't you write the Fingerprint series?
I'm afraid I was very guilty of that about 20 years ago.
I read the first volume to pieces and wept over it till the parts I loved most were illegible. Then bought another.
I finally read my book.
I don't disappoint you. Anyway, I'm large.
I like the way you read books to pieces. It's good for royalties.
It's time I get dinner ready for us.
Maybe I should find my room and get ready for you.
I'll take you up if you'd like to go now.
If you'll be so kind.
It's the next floor above. And be back, Christine.
that for the incinerator.
Yes.
What is it?
Some things you told me to throw away.
Well, let me see the package.
No.
Hold it, let me see it. You hit him with the shoes, didn't you? Tell me the truth. You hit him with one of those shoes. That's how those half-moon marks got on his forehead and his hand. Answer me. Answer me.
I hit him with the shoes. I had to hit him with the shoes, Mother. What else could I do?
So you know that you murdered him?
It was his fault. If he had given me the medal like I told him to, I wouldn't have hit him.
Tell me what happened. Start from the beginning and tell me the truth. I know that you killed him, so there's no sense in lying to me again. I want you to tell me the truth.
I can't, Mother. I can't tell you.
Rhoda! I am waiting for your answer. I want you to tell me now.
He wouldn't give me the medal like I told him to. That's all. So then he ran away from me and hit on the wharf. But I found him, then I told him I hit him with my shoe if he didn't give me the medal. He shook his head and said no. So I hit him the first time. And he took off the medal and gave it to me.
Then what happened?
Well, he tried to run away. So I hit him with the shoe again. He kept crying and making a noise, and I was afraid somebody would hear him. So I kept on hitting him, Mother. I hit him harder this time, and he fell in the water.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, what are we going to do? Oh, what are we going to do?
Oh, I've got the prettiest mother. Mother, that's what I tell everybody.
How did those bruises get on the back of his hands?
He tried to pull himself back on the wharf after he fell in the water. But I wouldn't have hit him anymore if only he kept saying he was going to tell on me. Mommy, please say you won't let them hurt me.
Nobody will hurt you. I don't know what must be done now, but I promise you, nobody will hurt you.
I want to play the way we used to, Mommy. Will you play with me? If I give you a basket of kisses, what will you give me?
Please, please.
If I give you a basket of kisses?
Rhoda, go into your room and read. I must think of what to do. Promise you won't tell anyone what you told me.
Why would I tell and get killed?
Rhoda! What happened to old Mrs. Post in Baltimore? I know so much now, another won't matter.
There was ice on the steps, and I slipped and fell against them. And that was all.
And that was all?
No. I slipped on purpose.
Rhoda, take the shoes. Take the shoes and put them in the incinerator. Hurry! Hurry, Rhoda, burn them quickly!
What will you do with the medal, Mother?
Think of something to do!
You won't give it to Miss Fern.
I won't give it to Miss Fern!
You better answer that phone.
Hello? No, Mr. Bobby wasn't here. He's upstairs. Yes, I could write down a number. Yes, sir. I'll tell him. Goodbye. I found out about one lie you told. There's no such thing as a stick bloodhound.
I'm not supposed to talk to little Miss Goody Goody.
Then don't.
Where's your mama?
Upstairs.
For your own sake, though, I'll tell you this much. There may not be no stick bloodhounds, but there is a stick. And you better find that stick before they do, or it'll turn blue and then they'll fry you in the electric chair.
There wasn't any stick, any more than there was any stick bloodhounds.
You know the noise the electric chair makes? It goes. And then you swivel all up like bacon does when your mama's frying.
Go empty the garbage. They don't put little girls in the electric chair.
They don't. They got a little blue chair for little boys. And a little pink one for little girls. I just remembered something. Just the morning of the picnic, you were wearing them shoes with the cleats on them. They used to go tap, tap, tap on the walk. How come you ain't wearing them anymore?
You're silly. I never had a pair of shoes like that.
They used to go tap, tap, and I didn't like it. I spilled water on them and I wiped them off.
They hurt my feet, and I gave them away.
You know one thing? You didn't hit that boy with no stick. You hit him with them shoes. Ain't I right this time? Then, how come I got them shoes then?
Where did you get them?
I came and got them right out of your apartment.
It's just more lies. I burned those shoes. I put them down in the incinerator and burned them. Nobody's got them.
I ain't saying that wasn't smart. That was. Only supposing I heard something come rattling down the incinerator, and I says to myself, that sounds like a pair of shoes with cleats on them. I'm not saying you didn't burn them, but you didn't burn them up like you wanted to.
Yes?
Now listen to this and figure out which one of us is the silly one. I'm in the basement working. I hear something come rattling down the pipe. I open the door quick and there he is, just sitting on top of the coals, smoking the least little bit. I grabbed him out. Oh, they're scorched some, but there's still plenty left to turn blue and show where the blood was. There's plenty left to put you in the electric chair.
Give me those shoes back.
Oh, no. I got them shoes here where nobody but me can find them.
You better give me those shoes. They're mine. Give them back to me.
I'm not giving them shoes to nobody, see?
You better give them back to me, Leroy.
I'm keeping them I'm keeping them shoes. Who says I got anybody's shoes except mine?
You did. You got them and give them back.
Now listen, Rhoda. I haven't got any shoes. I got work to do.
Give me back my shoes.
I haven't got any shoes. Don't you know when anybody's teasing you?
Give them back.
Go practice your violin lessons. I haven't got them. I keep telling you.
Will you bring them back?
I was just fooling at first, but now I really believe you killed that little boy. really believe you killed him with your shoes.
You've got them hid. But you better get them and bring them back here. Right here to me.
Talking loud, there's someone in the hall.
What was Leroy saying to you?
Nothing.
I heard you say bring them back here.
He said he had my shoes.
I haven't got anybody's shoes except mine. There's a number for Mr. Bravo to call.
You may go, Leroy.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Daddy, there's a message for you.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
Look what I have for you, Rhoda. Turquoise.
Thank you, Aunt Monica.
And here's the garnet shirt.
Hello. Listen, Barry, I know I ran out on you, but this was imperative. Just wouldn't wait. Yes, I've had my breakfast. When does it leave? Well, if I get a taxi now, I could just make it. Yes, I would like to see it. I've never been on the rig. And remember, I've never missed a deadline. Think nothing of it. I'll be back in a couple of days. But I plan to make this my headquarters for the next few weeks, if I may.
As long as you can stand us.
Rhoda?
Yes, Granddaddy.
You want a pattern or a smile. It does unfair things to your elders. I really have to go there. I'll pick up a taxi at the door. You are the bright thing in my life, Christine. It was you I lived for. You I love. No matter what happens, I want you to remember that. Don't worry, it'll work out well.
Come back soon.
I will, sweetheart. My bag's upstairs. Don't come along, it'll be quick.
What a trooper.
The ice cream man. Mother, could I have a popsicle?
Take the money from my purse. It is hot today.
Yes, the streets seem deserted.
Rhoda. What are you doing?
Oh, nothing.
Christine, you won't mind too much if I'm being nosy and ridiculous, but you haven't been yourself lately. It's as if something's dragging you down.
Does it show to other people?
You mean you feel it?
Yes.
Do you take vitamins regularly?
No.
You should. That's one of the things we know. I have an awfully good combination. I'll bring some down if I may. And now you must really forgive me. Have you and Kenneth come to a parting of the ways? Is his secretary more to him than an expert on politics? Does she make a nest for him among the office buildings?
No, it's nothing like that. I wish I were as sure of other things as I am of Kenneth.
Do you suspect some disease? Something like cancer, for example? If you do, we must face it bravely and do everything that must be done. And a lot can be.
I'm perfectly healthy and sound, as far as I know.
Do you sleep enough?
Oh, no, not always.
You must have some sleeping pills. That much we can do. now, I won't bully you anymore, Christine. I'm only gonna say that I love you, truly and deeply, my dear, as though you were my own. In fact, Emery feels the same way about you, but I needn't tell you that, for you know it already. Tell me what it is, dear. You can trust me. Dear Christine, you'll feel better now. Perhaps you can get some sleep. Damn. I'll get rid of whoever that is.
Well, Mrs. Brito. Hi. You don't want me here, and I don't want to be here, but I can't stay away. So I got a little drunk and I came over.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, like a skunk, I know. Miss Breedlove knows everybody. Knows even me.
How are you, Mrs. Hagel?
I'm half seized over as a fellow. I just came over to talk to your sweet little girl. She was the last to see my Claude alive.
Yes, I know.
So, where do you keep the perfect little lady who was last to see my Claude? I thought I'd hold her in my arms, we'd have a nice little talk, and maybe she'd remember something. Any little thing.
She's outside playing.
I'm just unfortunate, that's all. Drunk and unfortunate. Only she was right outside when I came by.
Well, she's not there now. I don't see her.
She's such a perfect little lady. Never gets any trouble. That's what I heard. Have you anything to drink in the house? Anything at all. I'm not the fussy type. I prefer bourbon and water, but anything will do. Oh, ain't we swank? Really, Blonzo and Astor. What I came here for was to have a little talk with Rhoda, because she knows something she hasn't told all right. Now, I called Miss Byrne on the telephone a dozen times, but she keeps giving me the brush off. She knows more than she's telling me.
Oh, are you all right there?
I'm not intoxicated in the slightest degree. Kindly don't talk down to me, Mrs. Penmarter. I've been through enough without all of that.
I got that cage, Mother.
Very well. Miss Daigle wants to see you.
So, this is your little girl. Claude spoke so often of you, and in such high terms. You were one of his dearest friends, I'm sure. He said you were so bright in school. So you're Rhoda, huh?
Yes?
Come, darling. Let me look at you. Now, how about giving your Aunt Hortense a great big kiss? Come. You were with Claude when he had his accident, weren't you, dear? Hmm? You're the little girl who was so sure she was going to win the penmanship medal, and you worked so hard. But you didn't win it after all, did you, darling? Claude won that medal, didn't he? Now tell me this. Would you say that it was fair that Claude had the medal? Would you say that he won it fair and square, or he cheated? Screw that. Now these things are so important to me now that he's dead. Would you say it was fair Claude had that medal? Huh? Because if it was fair, then why did you go after him for it?
I want my popsicle.
Rhoda, if you're going shopping with me, you'll have to come now. Mr. Pageson's going to show us his collection.
Right now?
We're a little late as it is. Yes, bring your popsicle, Rhoda. You can wash upstairs.
I must say,
did have an appointment.
I'm sure they do. Or practically sure. Of course. I didn't know Rhoda had all these social obligations. I thought she was like any little girl who stayed home and minded her mother and didn't go off traipsing all over town with these important appointments. I'm sorry I interfered with Rhoda's social life, Christy. I'm sorry. I offer my deepest apologies. I'll apologize to Rhoda, too, when I can get an interview with her.
You haven't interfered at all.
You know, I was only gonna hold her in my arms and ask her a few simple questions.
Perhaps another time would be better.
I wouldn't contaminate her in the slightest degree. I assure you that. Oh, you think because I'm lit, huh? I'm not lit in the slightest degree, I assure you. But Rhoda knows more than she's told anybody, all right? If you'll pardon me for being presumptuous. See, I talked to that guard, remember? He said that he saw Rhoda on the wharf just before Claude was found amongst those pirates. She hasn't told, all right. You may fool some with that mealy mouth. But you look like Ned in the primer to me.
Then perhaps you'd better not come here again.
I wouldn't come here again for $1 million laid out in a line. I wouldn't come here this time if I'd known about all of Rhoda's social obligations. I won't wait for Mr. Diego. I'll go home by myself. I know where I'm not wanted. And I'm not wanted in a place where people have all these social obligations. If you get what I mean. By the way, you're looking sort of sick and sloppy. Maybe you could come over to my house. I can give you a free beauty treatment if you press for ready cash. It won't cost you a nickel. I got this.
Hello, Mr. Panama. Come, Hortense. It's time to go home.
Why not? Oh, Lord, it's time to go home. Oh, Christine. You know something, you know. You know something and you just won't tell me.
Bye, Mr. Panama.
Hello, operator. I want to place a call to Washington, D.C. Oh, Kenneth, darling. What can I tell you? That our daughter is a... Never mind, operator. Cancel the call.
Good. She's gone. Sweet, I know I shouldn't take things into my all too capable hands, but I just couldn't let her paw Rhoda any longer.
Mr. Daigle came for her.
And I fear I've loosened the discipline just a little. I let Rhoda go down for another popsicle.
Did she want a second? It's most unusual.
She seemed quite eager, and since she's not one of these fat and self-indulgent little blobs, I doubt it can do any harm. By the way, here are the vitamins and the sleeping pills, both plainly marked.
Thank you, Monica. I'll keep them separate.
Emery called while I was upstairs. He's coming by with Reggie Tasker to store some fishing equipment they bought this morning. I'll get lunch with him. Wouldn't you like to run up and eat with us? You and Rhoda both?
Oh, Monica, I'd rather not, really.
You poor girl. I do bully you, and I promise not to. Now, Christine.
Monica, I can't bear it! I can't bear it! She's driving me mad! How can she play that tickle now? Rhoda! Rhoda!
What's the deal? What is it?
Darling, not what she's done. It's what I've done.
What does she mean, Monica?
I don't know, Rhoda. She'd better have lunch upstairs with me. She'll stay till you're calmer.
Yes. Take her. Take her.
Will you be all right?
Yes, I'm all right. Only the screaming goes on